Okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining our webinar today. I'm delighted to be joined by the wonderful Nicole Beniamini from Edison Research in New Jersey. And we're going to be talking about their success story with online dashboards, particularly in the context of market research dashboards using the eTabs dashboard service. So I'm Benjamin, and I'll give an introduction, and then we'll be passing over to Nicole in a few moments as well. Okay, so let's just pause the webcam and give you more space to watch. Right, so a little bit of information about eTabs. So we've been the acknowledged leader in the reporting process for the market research industry for a good number of years. We have solutions that cover everything to do with reporting, that's back-end reporting, whether it's online interactive dashboards that we're going to focus on today, automated charting solutions for PowerPoint, Excel, and now including Google Slides and Google Sheets. And we offer data visualization and infographics tools as well. We've won a number of awards from the Market Research Society, and as well as the Queen's Award for Enterprise, which was great. Got to go to Buckingham Palace, and that was a lot of fun. My accent may have given it away, but I'm calling from our London office in the UK, and we have teams in the US and even in New Zealand to provide support around the clock, wherever and whenever our clients might need us. Ooh. Sorry, I've just been told that my screen has paused. Hopefully you can also see my screen now. Okay. Right, so moving on. So before embarking on a dashboard delivery for your project, I believe it's really important to have a clear idea of the objective you're looking to achieve. We see many end clients who put dashboard delivery in their project specification, and that's very vague. An online dashboard could be a straightforward design with a defined set of charts and KPIs and simple filters, enabling the users to select different variables to view, or it could be a request for a quite extensive interaction and analysis tool, or anywhere in between the two. So what's the profile of the end user, the consumer of the dashboard? Will they be MR savvy analysts who will want to slice and dice the results, or C-level decision makers who just want to do some basic comparisons between waves and markets with a few filters here and there? Only once the audience and their needs has been defined will you be realistically ready to get designing how the dashboard should look, the visualization and layout of the various data elements, and what functionality you're looking to achieve. So unless your client has already got a very firm idea of what they want to be prepared for, are they prepared for a fair amount of back and forth on this design phase before you have the sign-off sign-off? But you can't really embark on the technicalities of setting up the dashboard until you get that sign-off, both on the design and the functionality, and actually critically the data structures. Will there be multiple data feeds or a need to juggle historical data, perhaps from a previous provider? Can you ensure that there will be consistencies and the appropriate data mapping set up? Or will there be a need to spend a lot of time and effort data jockeying with each update? How many users of the dashboard will there be? A discrete group, or potentially hundreds or even thousands, maybe in different time zones? Will everyone be given the same level of access, or will it need to be differentiated based on seniority or location? Should the dashboard be pixel perfect, meaning the same view is fixed regardless of the viewer's screen size? Or should it be designed to be responsive and dynamically resized and objects repositioned to fit a range of possible devices? It's very different looking at an on-screen, on a wide PC screen versus looking at a dashboard on a mobile device, iPhone, smartphone, and so on, or an iPad. Will the dashboard be a one-off with a limited shelf life, or one that will need data updates ranging from real-time or daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly? And if so, who will maintain and manage the updates and the potentially changing landscape of logins? And last, but by no means least, which of the many dashboard platforms will you choose? So as you can see, before you even begin to think about the platform for your dashboard, there are so many aspects that need to be considered and decided upon. Much of that should ideally be known before a project cost and timeline can even be calculated. So to the last point in particular, the choice of platform, this is really the technology that underpins the entire journey. There are so many dashboard platforms on the market, but almost all of them are built for the world of BI. So whether you're looking at the big boys like Tableau or Power BI or any of the other widely available systems, beware. They may all look drop dead gorgeous and with wonderful bells and whistles, but ultimately, do they understand the data you're going to be pumping through them? And do they understand how you want to visualize that data and how to process it? In market research, we speak a different language to the bigger BI world, business intelligence. We're used to, and we take for granted, weighted and unweighted data. We take for granted multi-response data, low base conditions, significance, stat testing, hierarchical data sets, dynamic netting, and an SPSS SAB file is a standard currency within market research. So can a BI dashboard handle that? Typically, the answer to that would be no. And I think at this point, it'd be good to formally introduce Nicole. Nicole from Edison Research. I'll hand the podium to yourself.
Hi, thanks, Benjamin. Again, I'm Nicole Beniamini. I'm a vice president at Edison Research. We are a custom market research company based in New Jersey, and we've been in the market research business for over 25 years. We do all sorts of research, but we're especially known in 3 distinct areas: audio and media, where we track music, podcasting, and media consumption. We also do public opinion polling, where we've done studies, for example, on how Americans feel about their own personal financial situation. But we're probably most known for our political work in the US, where we've been providing election exit polls and vote collection to news organizations since 2003. But now that you know a little bit about Edison, let me see if I can grab the screen, which don't seem to have control over the screen. So if you want to advance the slide, Benjamin, you can in the meantime.
All right, try again now.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so let me introduce you to one of our current studies that utilizes the dashboard. It's a syndicated online study called The Social Habit, and its primary objective is to track changes in social media usage and perceptions among Americans age 18 and older who currently use any social media site. The interviews are ongoing, and the data is reported essentially on a weekly basis throughout 2021. Now, we created the Social Habit with 2 major goals in mind. First was to offer the study as a subscription product, which meant that different clients would have different needs and different requests. The second was to provide Edison with interesting and relevant content marketing. We actually recently released some of the data in 2 different webinars. One is called Twitter Before and After Trump, where we can compare usage and perceptions of Twitter before and after the January 6th riots at the US Capitol. The other is called Clubhouse Users in America, which is exactly what you would think it is. It's a webinar that looks at the users of the new social media site Clubhouse. And you can actually check out both webinars and reports on our website at edisonresearch.com. Now, since this study was long-term and ongoing, our biggest challenge at the start was to determine what our deliverables would look like. So if we were going to provide weekly reports, then the typical way we would do it, such as updating PowerPoint charts or writing executive summaries, just would not be practical for this type of study. So our first question was, how can we easily and quickly deliver weekly reports to our clients? We also went into the study knowing we'd have multiple clients who would each have their own goals, their own needs in mind. So our next question was, how can we give our clients the ability to customize how they look at the data? So one client might have a different view than another. But after we asked ourselves these two questions, our third question really was, we realized we needed to use a dashboard. We needed to do something that was more interactive and more dynamic. But was this dashboard something that we could handle internally, or would we need to find a partner? And Benjamin mentioned earlier, there's tons of dashboard software services out there, and it's very overwhelming. So we did have to ask ourselves another set of questions, some of them which Benjamin already touched upon. But first, is the dashboard designed for market research? Some dashboards focus on sales reports, others on customer satisfaction, but the one we needed would need to speak in our language. It would need to know how to handle weighted data, how to detect and indicate small sample sizes, it would have to show data by different filters and different crosstabs, and it would need to have the types of data charts that we are used to using. Second, is it going to be compatible with the data files that we use? We use SPSS, and this study would require very large SPSS files. So could the dashboard handle that? We were going to have multiple clients. We needed to make sure that we would have enough logins for all of our clients. We did not want to be hit with surprise, license fees that I know other vendors do charge. How much, or rather how little, control did we have over the design? Would we be restricted to their library of templates, or would we be able to design it as we wish? Going along with that, like I said, our clients would have different needs. So could the dashboard be customized and tailored to what they needed? So could they, for example, only see specific charts? Could they only see specific filters? How much support would we have? We had very little knowledge of dashboards going into this. So we were hoping and expecting someone would be able to walk us through it all. And then last, but obviously not least, could it do the job that a dashboard is supposed to do? And I must say that working with eTabs, the team there has been great. They've answered all of these questions for us. The dashboard that we've created with them has been really easy to update. We just send it to our consultant, and he updates the data files. It works well with our large SPSS data files, and it really has been a clean, simple way for our clients to see how the study has changed week to week. In terms of customization, we've, hold on, went too far. In terms of customization, we've really been hands-on in creating the look and feel of this dashboard. We'll send them our ideas, and they'll put it into play. And they're also really good at helping us figure out how to customize certain charts or certain data points. And they've been really generous in terms of providing logins for our clients. But perhaps the best part for us through this process has been working with the team there. They already have other market research products that we are familiar with. We actually use Graphique all the time. It's actually really changed how we've done our business, and we love it. So they understand the market research industry. And the dashboard consultants we've worked with have just been fantastic. So I need to stop and shout out to David and Liam for being amazing and always being there when we need them. But enough about the background of the dashboard. I wanted to just show you a couple of examples of what it actually looks like, the ones that we created. So this is what the login page would be, the home page. As you can see, we customized it with our logo and our colors. We gave our consultant all of the text you see here, so the study methodology, the contact information, along with all those icons. And we told our consultant how we wanted to divide the data into different sections. So we'll take a quick look at what the demo section would look like. So here, again, this is all customized by us. This is how we wanted it to look. You can see here that there's this navigation panel on the side that brings you back to any of the pages you wanted to look at. The process is we will run our study, we will create our SPSS file, we will send it over to our consultant, and he will just update it. We will let him know if there are any changes since the last report, and we can talk to him about that. Then we have, the way we set up our dashboard, it's not our typical pie charts or bar charts. For this, we wanted to use tables so that we could show how the data looks week to week. So we started January 4th, and you can see that if we were looking at this live, you would see that it would be highlighted as we hover over the week of the report. We are about to actually release our next update of the last 4 weeks, which is why this ends April 26th. Up on top here, we have the filter area, and we told our consultant what we wanted the filters to be. And filters could be either a single select, so men or women, and then the data would be filtered by that particular group, or it could be multi-select. So if we wanted to look at a variety of age ranges, or if you wanted to look at the different groups together. There's a lot of data on this page and on most of our pages, probably more than most dashboards. And so we wanted to add a function where the client could actually export the data. So in the top there, it would, if you press that button, it would export all the data into an Excel file for the client to download and do what they wanted with it. So if we, for example, filtered by men, one concern we had when we did this dashboard was that once we set a filter, that as our clients would scroll down, they would perhaps forget or lose sight of the fact that they were filtered by men. So we talked to our consultant, Liam, and we figured out, you know what, the best way to handle this is to add this floating filter box, essentially. So it would tell you on the side, and it would follow the user down as it scrolled down the page. As a reminder, this is what this data is filtered by, in this case, gender. If you went back and we set it to filter by all, up on top here, then it would reflect that. The floating filter box would say none. So another big concern of ours was if the client wanted to look at data that was, in our mind, too small to be statistically sound. So again, we talked to our consultant, and he said, you know what, let's still show the data, but why don't we turn it red? So we'll take in this case, we filtered this by those who said that they use Snapchat most often, and then it would filter the data. And I wanted to quickly take a screenshot of this. For example, when the dashboard is running the data, it'll kind of gray out, and there'll be these 3 dots to show that it's working. The larger the data file, as you can imagine, the longer it takes. So you will want to keep that in mind. And this is a very, very large data file. But once it does get filtered, you'll see here that there are certain reports that are red. In fact, most of them are red. This means that there were too few respondents in that report who said that they used Snapchat most often. Some of the reports may have just barely made it, which is why they're still white, but you can see here that it's just too small. And that's really all I wanted to show you with the dashboard that we had created. I do have some tips and advice, I suppose. First, you want to create a simple design. Your charts and data should be the focus. Prepare your data files in advance. You'll want time to actually work out the kinks before you publish the dashboard. You don't want it to go live and then realize that there's something wrong or not showing up correctly. Focus on the priorities of the study. It's really tempting to get caught up in having everything in the dashboard, so all of the questions, all of the charts, all of the filters. But sometimes less is more, and it really gives you a chance to zero in on what's important to the client. Be mindful of the data details. You know, what's your threshold for statistically sound data? What do you want to do about including don't knows or no responses? Do any of your charts need bases to show that it was certain respondents were skipped out of that question? Then you'll want to communicate the goals with your dashboard consultant. They're doing lots of these with other clients, so they might have a better solution than you can think of. So it's really important to talk about what you want to do and how you want it to look, and they can offer suggestions. And then finally, set clear expectations with your client. Know what the dashboard can and cannot do, and make sure that they know it too. Sometimes they get caught up with the excitement of it, and you have to say, you know, we want to make sure we work in the right parameters. We want to make sure that it's running fast for you. We want to make sure that you're getting what you need from this study. And other times they just might not know what the dashboard can do, and everyone is pleasantly surprised. So always make sure you talk about this with them. And that's all I have, and I will pass it now back to Benjamin to wrap up.
Thank you, Nicole. So what does ETABS bring to the table? So essentially, as Nicole has highlighted, we understand that different language of MR data. We can make the whole process simpler. We're dealing with SPSS SAB files, Excel files, and we can have multiple feeds, by the way, at the same time going into the dashboard. It doesn't all have to be coming from one place. We can export to native PowerPoint with editable charts. So many companies just feel like paying lip services and just giving you images of charts in PowerPoint, but we can do way better than that. We can do editable charts, which can make all the difference. Dashboards are designed and tailored to the project and the audience needs. So we start from a blank canvas, take your design requirements into account, and then work from that. All the dashboards that we do are securely hosted on Microsoft Azure, so there's no IT infrastructure worries, no concerns over firewalls and so on. And our team of consultants will handle all the admin, all the updates, and the ongoing maintenance, and any changes that might be needed. Quite literally, the dashboard could look like anything you want. There's just a few sort of demo examples, generic demos that we have, but literally starting from a blank canvas and then working our way through to making it all happen for you. So, just a parting thought before we sort of open up for questions. Of course, there are many existing projects delivered as dashboards through Tableau, Power BI, and other platforms, with whatever constraints they may have or not. However, like I said, most online dashboards claim to export to PowerPoint, but in reality, all they do is unceremoniously drop a picture of the dashboard or screenshot into a PowerPoint file. That's not particularly helpful for someone who wants to use or access the actual numbers behind the charts, or perhaps they would have wanted to reformat the charts for their own presentations. So we're opening up our API to automated reporting via our engine, so that it's now possible for those other platforms and any projects perhaps you guys already have to send a packet of the chosen dashboard analysis to our cloud server, and within seconds receive back a fully editable native PowerPoint equivalent. Well, it's been a pleasure hosting you all today. If you have any questions, now's a great time. Please type them into the question or chat box, and Nicole and I would be more than happy to answer those. First question has just come in. Can we handle real-time data? So I'll give you two answers to that. The easy answer would be just to say yes. The other answer would be to say, do you actually want real-time data? Or do you want, for example, an overnight feed or an update every few hours, or whatever frequency you want? In most cases, clients say, oh, we need it real-time, but they don't mean immediate real-time. They tend to mean, we want an overnight update or once a week or over the weekend, something like that. But either approach is absolutely fine. Another question just come in. How do you cope with variations in questionnaire between waves?
I can help out. I mean, I can speak on my side, Benjamin, and then you could talk about how it looks on the dashboard side. But for us, we would typically just keep track of what would go into which wave, and just communicate with our consultant as to which questions are new. As long as it's in the data file, it can be created. And if a question is no longer in the survey anymore, it just won't show up in that chart. So you just need to communicate with your consultant and figure out what's new, what's old, and just be transparent with them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's very true. And try to keep data as consistent as possible. So if a question has been removed, for example, keep the column there if we're still charting historical data or it's likely to return. So little things like that, but our consultants would obviously liaise with the client as needed on that. Another question, can we also control access restriction to certain clients based on the market? So yes, we can. Basically, you'd have a list of the users and let's say the locations, and we would put limits on the filters or the access based on their location or whatever rights. It may not be location based, it may be other rights that you want to restrict those users to having. So yes, it's completely possible to do that. Next question, how flexible is it to change and introduce new filters? So yeah, it is flexible. It just our team of consultants will basically get to that. It'll put it on there. They'll have a conversation with you to understand exactly what you want to do and if it's going to impact anything. Usually if it's just a adding extra functionality, so an additional filter, for example, that's not a problem. If there may be calculations that need to be made, that may be another matter, and we need to address that with each time. So yeah, you can introduce change. Obviously, the more you know upfront, the better. But the system is never, if you like, carved in stone. It's always possible for us to make adjustments on your behalf. Someone just said, maybe I missed it, but is there significance testing? So yes, we can apply sig testing. Nicole, I don't think you have anything in the way of stat testing on your dashboard, is that right?
Yeah, we don't have any stat testing.
Right, but yeah, if you want stat testing, it's not an issue. Tell us which formula you want to use, custom formula and so on, and we can apply that. We can show the indicators as arrows, as circles, squares, color changes, traffic lights, whatever you want. Another question here. We currently use eTabs to produce PowerPoint reports from our tab files. Would this dashboarding feature be something additional we need to purchase from eTabs? Yes, so our dashboard system is a completely separate product to our automated reporting. So yes, reach out to us and we're more than happy to have a discussion with you as to how you can add dashboarding to your needs. Time for a couple more questions. One last. Here we go. Can the dashboard show the respective brands from each market in case of a global dashboard? I assume what that means is that your brands are changing from market to market, and can it handle that variance? If that is the question, then yes.
Yeah, we have another dashboard where it is very customized and very specific, where there are separate pages for that client that the other clients don't see, and that we have that where the logo changes depending on who's logged in. That's how it determines who sees what.
Great. Yep. No, exactly. How long does it take to build or update? Well, how long is a piece of string? It really depends on the project itself and all the requirements. So yeah, a straightforward dashboard with unquestionable specifications all being signed off by the end client. Data is perfect. Yeah, we could get a basic dashboard ready in a couple of days. Obviously, it'll increase from there depending on the complexity of the requirements. Can the dashboard show indexing? Yes, we could refer back to a indices file and so on, and show the sort of movement from norms. That's absolutely fine. Okay, well, literally coming up to the hour now. If you do have any more questions, feel free to email either Nicole or myself. More than happy to address those. And thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for joining today. And stay safe. And we look forward to interacting with you in due course. Take care. Have a good day.